Welcome back. It's great to see you. So now that we have talked about the jewels that you're going to need to market yourself and how you're going to brand yourself and how you're going to really go out there and show that employer who you are, it's time to launch the plan. Let's go get that job. So how are we going to do it? We've got the tools, we got the training, we got the education, we are ready to go. So what are we going to do to get that job? Well, remember, we're going to constantly be marketing and networking. So this is not a job that we get the job and we stop. It is an ongoing process throughout your career. So as soon as you get established in a career and you start meeting new people, that you're going to start looking and marketing and what's next for me? What is the thing that I want to do next from here? Do I want to stay with this company? Do I want to move another company? Do I want to get a supervisor position or a different position or a lateral position? And how do I position myself well that next opportunity is going to be available for me? So we always are going to do this. This is a constant opportunity for advancement, a constant opportunity for marketing ourselves, even for jobs that might not be advertised. You know, once you get established in the field and you show them who you are and what you have to offer, people may just come to you and say, I'm having somebody leave from this position. Would you be interested in moving over or laterally, a change over here or an advancement, or so-and-so is going to be leaving in 2 years. I'd like to train you or cross-train you so that you're ready to take that job when it opens up. So there's a lot of opportunities that can happen while you're in the workplace, showing people who you are. And never be afraid to share that you want to advance, you want to grow. Is there a training opportunity? I want that. Is there a way for me to learn more stuff? I want that. I want to have and I want to learn as much as you can offer me. So that's really important. You always want to have a job plan. And identifying that job plan, what is the thing I want next? And what are the steps to get there? In fact, many employers may have a growth plan for you. You'll probably meet with them annually and talk about what would be the next steps for you. How do you work with that company and grow within that company when possible? Not every job's going to be that way, but many of your career jobs will. So there's entry-level jobs that may not offer that, but you start moving into the career, they're invested in you and you're invested in them, and they want to see you grow and they want to see you flourish and they want to see you be successful, because when you win, they win. So remember, always be working your plan and always be actively engaged in it. Something else you want to do at about this place, now that you've got the job or that you're entering that job market, is to start to think about the challenges that you might be faced with when you go into advancement, because different jobs will have different demands on you. So maybe to take a step up or maybe to a lateral move, I really like this department better, or I want to, my life-work balance is kind of off here and this other job would be great for me. You need to start thinking about, are you able to do all those aspects of the job, the tasks of that job? So we talk about this in an earlier chapter, but this is an ongoing process. So maybe to take a lateral move would require a pay cut. Maybe to move to a company, a different company may require a pay cut, but you get better insurance, or you get a better opportunity for advancement, or you get to travel, which is really important to you, or those kind of things. So you want to look at that in the aspects of the job itself. So what are the challenges that could be in front of me as I work my plan to advance myself? And think about things that you maybe hadn't thought about before, like, can I report to a boss who's younger than me? Maybe you hadn't been challenged with that before, but that would look different. Can I work remotely? Can I work in an office? And I wasn't doing that before. Can you work with someone who maybe has less experience than you? Or are you going to feel comfortable with that if that's a challenge of a position or something you're moving? Can I do the overtime that's required? Can I do the weekends or the evenings that's required of that advanced job? And if you can't, then that wouldn't be the right job for you to look at during that advancement. So sometimes it's right to maintain in a place while you're at some place in your life, and sometimes it's right to move forward. And when you do move forward or you move into a different job, can you do what's required of that job? You don't want to work really, really hard for a job and then find out you actually aren't able to accommodate its needs. So you want to start thinking about that right away. And once you start into that process, you want to use all the resources that are available to you. And you want to use them all the time. So look for ads. Even if you have a job, you can still look through the ads every once in a while and say, is there something better out here for me that I might be more interested in? Use your career resources. Maybe even put something, your resume into a career resource and have them notify you when there's a great fit for a job, and then you can look at it and decide if you're interested or not. Use your career resources at school. Use your peers and your networking and your LinkedIn and your social networks and stuff like that to be open to opportunities that may be out there. You want to make the search extensive, not just one thing, but constantly looking at what's the field like, what's the rhythm out there, because at any moment anything could change, anything could flex. So make sure you're taking that into consideration. And again, remember, up to 75% of job advancement actually comes from networking. So once you get into the field and you start to find out more about the jobs and where you really want to be, find people in those areas that can help you get that next job. Use those networks, use those resources, and try to move the direction that you want to move. Don't be afraid of networking. But it's very important that you be very respectful in those relationships. Remember, they take time to build as well. You can't just walk up to somebody and expect them to be instant friends. But build them up. Be friendly, be polite, be professional, and continue in those endeavors. Something else you're going to want to work on is what we call it your proverbial elevator speech. It's a very quick way. So if you run into that supervisor, you run into that hiring professional, how can I sell myself in 5 minutes? It came up, they're here, here's my chance. I need to tell you how great I am. I need to tell you why you want me for that job. Make sure you're ready to seize that opportunity. So make sure you're ready to tell them who you are, what you can do, what's unique or special about you, what your immediate goals are, what you want to move into, and why they would want you there. And analyze your speech. Practice your speech. Is it good enough? You don't want to be shy. You don't want to be afraid. You just want to be able to casually meet somebody and go, hey, it's great to meet you. I recently put a resume into your place. Oh, really? You did? Tell me a little bit about yourself. There you are. That's your chance. Take it, seize it, and make it work for you. And sometimes it's really good when you're working with that is to make sure the person's paying attention, sometimes offering them some questions or direct questions, so we're making sure that there's a dialogue going on and it's not just you talking. So, tell me, do you have any positions opening up in the near future? Or where would be the best way for me to submit that resume? Or when does that job close out? Or anything, any variety of thing that makes sure that you're having an engaged dialogue and it's not just you lecturing to that person. And remember that when you start your networking isn't necessarily to get a job. So keep in mind, networking is to meet more professionals in the field, to network and find out about more opportunities. Now, through the process of finding new opportunities, hopefully you will find a job. But you don't want people to feel like they're just a commodity. Hey, Joe Smo, I understand you've got jobs. I'm here to work you for a job, and I don't really care about you. You don't have any value. I'm just working you. Because people will feel used and they're not going to be excited about interviewing you. So making sure that you treat the person with respect, develop those relationships, develop those networks, but make sure that you understand that yes, while a job is the end product, there's a process, and there's a process that we want to do respectfully. So hopefully connect first and a job will follow. And some other things that you might want to keep in mind as you're launching your career is, how do you help others? One of the things, I've worked with a lot of interns over the years, and interns who want to be picked to do an internship where I'm at, or to be mentored by me or one of my staff members. And one of the things that, really sells them is when they say, I want to help you. I want to help your organization. If you meet a mentor, if you meet a peer, if somebody says they're involved in a project, how can I help you? I'm not here just to use you. I want to help you. I want to get involved. I want to learn more from you. So it needs to be a two-way street. You want to make sure that your conversations are authentic and real. If you come across as phony and fake, they're going to know it. This is what they do. And they're not going to want somebody who's phony or fake. They want somebody who is genuinely interested in them and the career path that they can help you with. Make sure that you build your networks. Do things like, informational interviews. Find out what are the things that you would want to know if you were in that position, so that can help move you in the direction that you want to go through. Make sure you're able to communicate your assets. And remember that when you're doing this is their agenda, not yours. This is their job, not yours. So yes, you're going to be talking and bragging about yourself, but you need to talk about what you have to offer that will fulfill their need. They're the one with the need. They're the one that's going to be doing the hiring. So you can't just basically shove yourself down their throat. You need to tell them how or why you could help them, how you can help them in their job, in their company, what asset you bring to them. So make sure you're keeping that in mind. Why would they want to pick you for that job? How are you going to make their lives better? Now, moving forward to the interview. This is your chance to shine. So it's really, really important that you do that. Make sure that you're going to use this as your opportunity to convince that employer to pick you above other candidates for that job. There's a lot of different ways interviews are done, and this continues to change and progress with technology. Now, the good old-fashioned way is face-to-face, and that very well may be how you get your jobs, and that's still where the majority of jobs happen today, is this face-to-face, person-to-person interview, where you're going to get to come into the office with a copy of your resume and really show yourself, taken care, well-dressed, present yourself, and meet them. But that's not the only way we get jobs, and it's not the only way interviews are done today. There are a lot of jobs that are done just through television or telephone screening, or sometimes other venues like Skype or FaceTime or things like that, online or video exchanges. This is particularly done because we've become so much more global. You may be interviewing someone from a different state who's moving or is interested in your company and would be willing to move for that job. Because remember, we've got skills gaps. We've got areas where there's not enough people in that area. So that could be very broad as you're reaching out for the job. And we have a lot of jobs today that are really telecommuting, even from different states or different areas. So it may not be necessary that you come into the office all the time. And if they're going to be communicating with you on a regular basis from a distance, they may set up their interviews that way, maybe exclusively, or at least the preliminary ones, to see how you're able to communicate in that process. It is really important that you take that seriously. Treat it just like a face-to-face interview. Be dressed, be ready, have your resume there to be able to reference. Don't grab the phone while you're doing something else, and treat it like a real face-to-face interview, because it is a real interview. And so it's really, really important that you treat it with that respect. Something else you might see in an interview would be a group or panel interview. Sometimes multiple people may need to weigh in on a candidate that they're looking to hire, and so rather than having multiple different interviews, they may all meet you at once. So that's a way for them to process that. So you may be interviewing with multiple different people, or sometimes it's a series of interviews. And that series of interviews may be as you're moving through a division. So you got through this, and now you're going to move to a higher level. So either one can happen. It's really up to the company and their process and what job they're looking for and why they would go through it in that particular manner. And sometimes interviews even have a more creative flair to them. They might be something like a dinner interview or a lunch interview, where they're really looking at you as a person. How do you handle yourself? How do you handle yourself socially? How do you adjust? So all of those are going to be really important things to keep in mind. When you go to that interview, they're going to be asking you a lot of questions that are going to be specific to the job, and they're going to be asking you a lot of general questions that are going to be specific to you and who you are. Sometimes you might be asked to do something like a presentation to show them what kind of skill sets that you might have. And sometimes interviews are structured and sometimes they're more loose. And what I mean by that is a structured interview is they may have a set series of questions that they ask those exact same questions to every single candidate. And so they may not stray from that. And so that doesn't mean it's good or bad, it just means that's their policies. Other ones, they may be much more loosely oriented, and once they get to know you, they may kind of divert into different areas. So either one would be something you could potentially encounter. They also may be posing questions to you like, what ifs? They're looking at some of these behavioral challenges. If you encountered this, if you ran into that, what would you do? So be prepared to stop and take a minute. If you're nervous, breathe. They know that. They've interviewed a lot of people. Take a step and say, okay, what would I do in that situation? What are they asking for? Not necessarily when there may be a correct answer and an incorrect answer, but they want to know more about you and your style and how you may handle that particular situation. And sometimes they may do something like a case study. Here's a scenario. How would you handle it? How would you move forward? They know you don't know all the ins and outs of that particular job, but they want to make sure that they get a feel for your personality and how you might handle those conflicts or those opportunities or whatever that is. So it's really an opportunity to shine. So don't be nervous. You might be. That's okay. They expect that. But take a breath. Ask for clarity if you need to. And use that opportunity. If they invited you in for an interview, they already like you. You just need to prove to them that you are the person that they think you are. Stop back in a minute. We've got more to learn in this chapter.